unaware he owned the company signing her million-dollar deal. Wife poured wine on husband, calling him unworthy to be in her elite circle. What he did next crushed her. Have you ever been humiliated by the one person you die for? Destroyed in front of hundreds, cameras flashing, while they smiled through your pain. Julian Hayes knows that feeling. Picture this: a ballroom packed with 200 of New York's elite. Champagne flowing. Cameras everywhere. His wife, Natalie, standing at the podium in a silver dress that caught every flash of light, about to sign the deal of her lifetime, $900 million. Her moment. Her glory. And then she saw him. The man who'd built everything she had. The father of her child. Her husband of 7 years. And she poured champagne in his face. If you've ever been underestimated, hit that like button right now, drop a comment, and subscribe. Because what happens next will leave you speechless. Let me take you back to that night at the Gramercy Hotel. The kind of place where deals reshape cities and champagne costs more than most people's rent. Crystal chandeliers hung like frozen waterfalls above marble floors, so polished you could see your reflection. Every corner smelled of expensive perfume and ambition. Natalie Warren stood center stage, CEO of Warren Architecture Group. Cameras trained on her like she was royalty. And maybe she was. This contract would make her one of the most powerful female architects in America. The governor's people were there. Industry titans. Investors who moved billions with a handshake. She was glowing, radiant, untouchable. At a table near the back, Julian watched her. Navy suit, nothing fancy. No designer labels. No flashy watch. Just a man who'd come to see his wife succeed. His hands were folded on the table, his expression calm. Proud even. She didn't know he was there. He'd wanted to surprise her. Bad idea. The host's voice boomed through the sound system. Ladies and gentlemen, we are moments away from history. This partnership between Warren Architecture Group and Meridian Holdings will transform the future of urban development. Applause thundered through the room. Natalie smiled, soaking it in, her pen ready to sign. That's when Julian stood up. He moved through the crowd slowly, deliberately, a glass of champagne in his hand. He wasn't trying to make a scene. He just wanted one moment with her. One private word of congratulations before the signatures and photographs took over. He reached her just as she stepped down from the podium. "Liv," he said softly, using the nickname only he called her. "I'm proud of you." She froze, turned. Her smile vanished the second she recognized him. "What are you doing here?" Her voice was ice. "I wanted to see you sign," he said. "You worked so hard for this." People were starting to notice. A few executives turned. Whispers rippled outward. Natalie's face flushed red, but not from happiness. From rage. From embarrassment. "This is a corporate event, Julian." She stepped closer, voice dropping to a harsh whisper. "You look pathetic in that cheap suit. These people make billion-dollar decisions. They don't live in your world." Somewhere behind her, a man smirked. Trevor Klein. Tall, expensive cologne, designer everything. Her colleague. Her lover, though Julian had only confirmed it 3 weeks ago. Julian didn't even glance at him. His eyes stayed on Natalie. "I'm not trying to embarrass you," he said quietly. "I just wanted to stand with you for a minute." Wrong words. She reached for her glass. Red wine, not champagne. The color of blood. "Stand with me?" Her voice rose, sharp enough to cut. "You can barely stand for yourself. You're unworthy to be in my elite circle, Julian. Look at you. You're poor. You reek of mediocrity. These people wear power. You wear failure." Someone gasped. The room went silent. 200 people holding their breath. She lifted the glass higher. "Maybe this will help you remember your place." The wine hit his face in a crimson arc cold. Shocking. Deliberate. It splashed across his cheek, soaked into his collar, dripped onto the marble floor in slow, fat drops. Camera flashes exploded. A photographer caught the exact moment the wine struck, his head turning slightly from the impact. "Next time," Natalie said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "learn to stay in your lane." Julian didn't move. Not a muscle. Not a word. The wine dripped from his jaw, staining his shirt, pooling at his feet. For 5 impossible seconds, nobody breathed. Then he reached into his pocket, pulled out a handkerchief, and wiped his face once. Slowly, calmly. When he spoke, his voice was level, almost gentle. Understood. He turned and walked toward the exit. The crowd parted like water. His shoes echoed against marble. The only sound in that massive room. Outside, under the glow of streetlights, Julian paused on the steps. He pulled out his phone. 2 numbers already cued on the screen. His expression was unreadable. Not hurt, not angry, just certain. He pressed dial. 2 phone calls. 60 seconds. Her entire world was about to collapse. He looked at the phone. He would not take it anymore. He was about to make her regret humiliating him. He was going to make her regret cheating on him. But this wasn't always their story. 7 years earlier, Julian Hayes had looked at Natalie Warren like she was his entire universe. They met at a gallery opening in Manhattan. One of those pretentious art shows where wine costs $20 a glass and nobody actually looks at the paintings. Julian was there for a client. Natalie was there because the gallery had free food and she was broke. She stood in front of an abstract piece, sketch pad in hand, redesigning the gallery space in her margins. Her hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail. No designer dress. Just jeans and a blazer with a coffee stain on the sleeve. Julian noticed her immediately. Not because she was beautiful, though she was, but because, while everyone else pretended to understand the art, she was actually creating something. "You're redesigning the room," he said, stepping beside her. She looked up, startled, then smiled. "The flow is terrible. People keep bumping into each other near the entrance." They talked for 3 hours. About architecture, dreams, the city. She told him about sketching building designs on napkins during her restaurant shifts. He told her about the loneliness of building wealth with nobody to share it with. When the gallery closed, they sat on the steps outside, her body gradually leaning into his warmth as the temperature dropped. He offered her his jacket. Their fingers touched. Electricity. 3 hours later, they kissed against her apartment door. Urgent. Desperate. Like they'd been waiting their whole lives for that moment. Their romance was fire. Julian would surprise her at the restaurant with lunch, stealing kisses in the kitchen. She'd show up at his office after midnight, and they'd make love on his desk, the city sprawling beneath them through floor-to-ceiling windows. She'd whisper his name, fingers digging into his shoulders, her body arching against his like she couldn't get close enough. He proposed on a rooftop in Paris, fireworks exploding overhead as he slipped the ring on her finger. She cried, kissed him so passionately they barely made it back to their hotel, leaving a trail of clothes from the door to the bed. Their wedding was small, intimate, just people who mattered. Their wedding night was transcendent. He memorized every curve of her body, the way she looked at him with complete trust, the promises they whispered between kisses that lasted until sunrise. When Natalie got pregnant, Julian's world shifted. He'd place his hands on her growing belly every night, feeling their daughter kick. They'd make love with a tenderness that brought tears to both their eyes, his hands gentle on her changing body, her eyes soft with a vulnerability he'd never seen before. Lily was born on a spring morning. Julian wept as he held her for the first time, this tiny perfect thing he and Natalie had created together. "We made her," Natalie whispered, exhausted and glowing in the hospital bed. "We made everything," Julian said, kissing her forehead. "You, me, her. We're unbreakable." He believed that. God, he believed that with everything in him. He didn't just love Natalie. He worshipped the ground she walked on. She was his partner, his passion, his purpose. Every decision he made was about building a future for their family. Every dollar he earned was so she'd never have to sketch on napkins again. He would have given her the world. And in the shadows, without her knowing, he did. But love, real love, requires 2 people equally committed. 2 people who choose each other every single day. And Natalie? She was about to choose something else entirely. Something that would destroy them both. While Julian was building her empire in secret, Natalie was building secrets of her own. After Lily's birth, something shifted. Natalie became obsessed with success, with proving herself, with becoming somebody the world couldn't ignore. She launched Warren Architecture Group 6 months after their daughter was born. What she didn't know was that Julian launched it with her. Every investor who discovered her firm, Julian's contacts. Every major contract she celebrated, Julian's orchestration. Every award, every accolade, every opportunity that seemed to fall into her lap, him. Always him. He funneled millions through shell companies, created anonymous investors, made introductions through intermediaries. Black Elm Capital, her anchor investor, was his. Meridian Holdings, the company offering her the $900 million deal, was his. All of it, his. He'd been building her empire from the shadows for 7 years, planning to reveal everything on their 10th anniversary. Imagine it. Surprise, baby. Every success you celebrated, we built together. You were never alone. The ultimate gift. The ultimate proof of his love. My dear viewers, would you secretly build someone's empire? Show some love by hitting that like button and let me know in the comments below. But while Julian was protecting her dreams, Natalie was destroying his. The affair started 6 months after Lily was born. His name was Trevor Klein. Charismatic developer. Expensive suits. The kind of man who talked about money like it was foreplay. Ironically, Julian had hired him to help secure contracts for Natalie's firm. Trevor understood something Julian didn't. Natalie didn't want a partner. She wanted an audience. Someone who'd tell her she was brilliant, powerful, untouchable. Someone who'd feed her ambition instead of her soul. Julian discovered the truth by accident. They were in bed one night. He'd just made love to her, gentle and slow, her body still warm against his. He was half asleep when her phone lit up on the nightstand. A text message. Can't stop thinking about this afternoon. Your husband suspects nothing. His world stopped. Just stopped. He didn't confront her that night. He waited until morning. Calm. Controlled. He showed her the message over coffee while Lily played in the next room. Explain this. Natalie didn't even flinch. She looked at the screen, then at him, and her face was cold. So cold. You're too soft, Julian. Too content with mediocrity. Trevor understands ambition. He understands what it takes to win. We have a daughter, and I'm building her a legacy. Something you'd never understand. He filed for divorce that week, but strategically, quietly. His lawyer drew up papers but told him to wait. Let her reveal who she really was. Let the world see what he'd been protecting all these years. So he watched. He waited. He kept funding her company, kept orchestrating her success, waiting to see how far she'd go. The Meridian Holdings deal was his final test, his final gift. $900 million. The biggest contract of her career. He'd planned to reveal himself as chairman that night at the signing ceremony. He'd imagined her face when she realized. The shock. Then the gratitude. Maybe even remorse. Maybe they could heal. Maybe she'd choose their family. Instead, she chose humiliation. She chose cruelty. She chose to throw wine in his face in front of 200 people and tell him he wasn't worthy of standing in her shadow. She made her choice. Now it was time for Julian to make his. 2 phone calls. That's all it would take. And he was already dialing. Outside the Gramercy Hotel, Julian Hayes sat in his car and did something Natalie would never have expected. He stopped protecting her. His phone glowed in the darkness. 2 numbers already queued. His finger hovered over the first contact. Pierce. His voice would be steady, professional, final. He pressed dial. Pierce. The voice came through crisp, immediate. Terminate the contract, Julian said. His tone was calm, measured, like he was ordering coffee, not destroying a $900 million deal. Yes, sir. No hesitation. No questions. Pierce had worked for Julian long enough to know that tone. Effective immediately. Announce it now. Inside the ballroom. Yes, sir. Julian ended the call. Didn't wait for confirmation. Didn't need to. He scrolled to the second number. Hayes, Black Elm Capital's director. One ring. Hayes speaking. Withdraw all Black Elm Capital funding from Warren Architecture Group. Every account, every subsidiary, every line of credit. Silence. Just for a heartbeat. Then, all of it, Mr. Hayes? Everything. Send confirmation to my private email when it's done. Yes, sir. Consider it done. Julian lowered the phone, stared at the hotel entrance. Warm light spilled from the glass doors. Inside, orchestra music played. Celebration music. The kind that belonged to Triumph. It wouldn't last another 5 minutes. He pocketed his phone, started the engine, and drove away. Didn't look back. Not once. Inside the ballroom, Natalie lifted her pen. The contract lay before her, embossed in gold, ready for her signature. This was it. Her moment. Cameras focused. Guests leaning forward in anticipation. The host smiled. Mrs. Warren, if you'll do the honors. She smiled wider, savoring every second. It's an honor. A moment we've worked years for. Her pen touched the paper. That's when the doors burst open. A man in a charcoal suit rushed through the crowd, phone pressed to his ear. His face was pale, bloodless. He whispered something to an assistant, who immediately went rigid. The man made his way to the front, footsteps sharp against the marble. The host faltered. Sir. The man leaned in, voice low but urgent. The host's expression changed instantly. Color drained from his face. The crowd began to murmur. Natalie frowned, pen still hovering. Is there a problem? The man straightened, cleared his throat. We've just received an order from the executive office. The contract signing is suspended. Her pen froze midair. Suspended? What are you talking about? I'm sorry, ma'am. The directive came through less than a minute ago. We're to terminate all proceedings immediately. That's impossible. Her voice rose, sharp with panic. There must be some mistake. I wish there were. He nodded to the other executives, who were already standing, exchanging glances, checking their phones. The buzz in the hall shifted from excitement to confusion. Photographers lowered their cameras. Champagne glasses paused midway to lips. Someone whispered, "What's happening?" Natalie looked around, heart hammering. No, this doesn't make sense. Who gave this order? No one answered. The representative's eyes flickered nervously. Then quietly, carefully. It came directly from the top. The top. Her throat tightened. What top? The executive office, ma'am. The chairman himself. The words landed like stones. Heavy. Final. Chairs scraped. Executives began gathering folders, laptops, coats. The lights that had felt warm minutes ago now felt scorching. Merciless. Her assistant rushed forward, phone trembling. Natalie, something's wrong. We just got an email from Black Elm. They're withdrawing all investment. What? Her voice cracked. Effective immediately. All funding support withdrawn. Future communication not required. The assistant's voice shook. It came from the director's office. Natalie stared at the screen. The words blurred. Her pulse thundered in her ears. That's not possible. They're our anchor investor. Not anymore. The man from Meridian closed his folder. I'm very sorry, ma'am. We're done here. He turned and walked away. Half the room followed. If you're hooked on this story, smash that like button and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Natalie stood frozen at the podium. The microphone caught her ragged breathing. The contract lay open, her signature line empty. Untouched. Cameras kept clicking, each flash more intrusive than the last. Trevor appeared at her side, whispering, "Liv, we need to go. Something's happening." She shook her head, staring at the documents. This was supposed to be mine. But the ballroom was already emptying. Guests leaving in hurried whispers. Waiters uncertain whether to pour or clear. The glass she'd thrown earlier still lay near a table, shards scattered. A small pool of wine soaking into marble seams. Natalie's chest tightened until she couldn't breathe. By morning, the world had already decided her fate. 24 hours after the world watched her humiliate him, Natalie stood at Julian's door, about to learn the most devastating truth of her life. She hadn't slept. Her makeup was smudged beyond repair. The silver dress from last night was wrinkled, stained with wine. Her hair hung loose and tangled around her shoulders. She looked broken, lost, like someone who'd run out of explanations before even trying to speak. The doorbell echoed through Julian's penthouse. Once, twice. He opened the door, calm, composed, like he'd been expecting her. "Hunter," she whispered. "Can I come in?" He stepped aside without a word. She walked past him into the living room, heels scraping against hardwood. For a long moment, she just stood there, arms crossed, staring at the floor like she was trying to find her balance. Then she turned to him, eyes glassy with tears. "Everything's gone wrong." Her voice broke. The contract, the investors, everything. It's like the world just flipped overnight. Julian leaned against the wall, arms folded. His face was unreadable. "I don't understand it," she continued, voice trembling. "One minute we were celebrating. The next the representatives stopped everything. They said there was an order from above to terminate the contract." She tried to smile through the panic, tried to sound reasonable. "You know how these things go, right? Maybe it's a misunderstanding. Someone messed up paperwork or sent the wrong instruction. It'll clear up." "It has to." Julian's expression didn't change. She rubbed her temples, pacing. And then the emails came. Black Elm pulled every investment. The accounts are frozen. The stocks are crashing. The press is everywhere, Julian. I don't even know where to start. Still nothing. She looked at him, searching his face for the comfort she'd always found there. The safety net that had always caught her. "I didn't know where else to go," she whispered. I needed you." Julian walked to the kitchen, poured her a glass of water, and placed it on the table between them. "You didn't sleep," he said quietly. "I couldn't." She sat, hands shaking as she gripped the glass. "Didn't drink. It's bad, Julian. Really bad. I've never seen anything like this. It's like someone just pressed a button and erased my life overnight." He studied her for a long time. "Someone." She nodded weakly. "I don't know who. Maybe a competitor. Maybe someone from the board. I'll find out. But Her voice cracked. "I needed to tell you. Like I always do." Julian walked to the window. Morning light caught his face, outlining him in pale gold. He turned slowly, his voice calm. "Even. That's what you get when you bite the hand that feeds you." Her brow furrowed. "What do you mean?" "I gave the order." The world stopped. Her mouth opened. No sound came out. "You what?" The words landed like a physical blow. She froze, staring at him as if the air had been sucked from the room. You did this?" He nodded once. "Trident doesn't work with arrogance. And Black Elm doesn't invest in people who humiliate their own partners." Her voice broke. "Trident? Black Elm?" He looked at her. Really looked at her. "You never asked where the funding came from, did you? Or who owned the company you were so desperate to impress?" Her knees weakened. "Julian, I believed in you," he said quietly. "I built your company from the shadows. Every investor, every introduction, every check. It all came from me, through trusts, through Black Elm. I thought I was helping you grow. But last night, you showed me what you really thought of me." Tears rolled down her cheeks. "I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. You didn't care to." She shook her head desperately. "Julian, I was angry. I said things I didn't mean. Please, let me fix this. Let me talk to whoever you need me to. I can apologize. Rebuild. You can't fix this. Please." Her voice was barely a whisper now. "Don't do this to me. Don't let me lose everything. You can pull the order back. You can call them." He exhaled slowly, almost sadly. "You poured wine on me in front of 200 people, Natalie. You called me poor. You told me I wasn't worthy to stand beside you. The entire city watched it happen. Tell me, what part of that do you want me to undo first?" She sobbed, stepping closer, gripping his arm. "Julian, please. I was stupid. I let pride control me. I love you." He looked down at her hand, then gently pulled away. "You love what I gave you, not me." "That's not true." He picked up the empty glass from a counter and set it in the sink. You once said I didn't belong in your world. You were right. She backed away, shaking her head. No, don't say that. We can start over. I'll do anything. I'll leave the company. He turned toward her, his voice calm and final. You can't start over from something you destroyed yourself. And you won't get a second chance at what I protected. What do you mean? The trust, he said simply. Everything I own, every company, every share, is under an irrevocable trust one created before we married. You can't touch a dime. Not in divorce. Not in settlement. Not in court. Her breath hitched. You're divorcing me? I've already called my lawyer. The words left her hollow. She staggered back, gripping the edge of the couch for balance. Julian, please. I'll sign anything. Just don't leave me with nothing. He studied her face for a long, quiet moment. You already did. 5 years have a way of revealing who we really are when everything is stripped away. Natalie left Julian's penthouse that morning and went straight to Trevor's hotel. Desperate for comfort. For someone to tell her it would be okay. She found an empty suite. Clothes gone. Suitcase gone. Just a note on the pillow. Can't be associated with this scandal. My reputation matters. Goodbye. Even her lover abandoned her when the cameras turned. The divorce was swift and brutal. Julian's prenuptial trust was ironclad. She kept nothing. Warren Architecture Group collapsed within months. Her face became synonymous with arrogance and downfall. But the worst part? The custody hearing. Julian won full custody of Lily. The judge's words still echoed. The child needs stability, not scandal. Natalie was allowed supervised visits twice a month. She missed half of them. 5 years passed like a slow exhale. Julian rebuilt his life around his daughter. Morning pancakes. Bedtime stories. School plays where he sat front row, cheering louder than anyone else. Lily thrived in his steady, unconditional love. Then he met Grace Montgomery at Lily's school. A second-grade teacher with kind eyes and a genuine laugh. No games. No pretense. Just warmth. Their courtship was slow, healing. Coffee dates that turned into long walks. Conversations that felt like coming home. When he finally kissed her, it wasn't desperate or passionate. It was peaceful. Right. They married in a quiet ceremony 2 years later. Lily was the flower girl, beaming as she scattered petals. Grace loved Lily like her own. Never tried to replace Natalie. Just created space for a little girl who needed a mother's presence. 3 years after the wedding, they welcomed twin boys. Julian held his sons and watched Lily read to them, her voice soft and patient, and he realized something profound. Sometimes the greatest revenge isn't destruction. It's building a better life without those who destroyed you. Natalie sent a letter last month, asking to see Lily. Handwritten. Desperate. Julian didn't respond. My dear viewers, do you think Natalie deserved a second chance? If this story moved you, smash that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to Mr. William Chronicles for more powerful life stories. Remember this, protect what matters. Value who values you. And never let anyone make you feel unworthy of the empire you built. Some bridges, once burned, should stay ash.